r/AskReddit. What was your biggest I need to get the duck out of here moment? Walked into a friend's house and sat down to spark up. Then one of our other friends pulled a gun on a guy who was there that no one really liked. I just put my lighter away and was like, well, it's getting late fellas. I'll see y'all tomorrow. I was at a party with a bunch of people I didn't know and saw 3 cops cars turn up the hill that leads to the house. My friend who knows the people at the party, the guy who invited me, told me they had 2 kilos of coke in the living room. I jumped the fence literally a minute later and called an Uber about a block away. I was in an abandoned building with a friend. She walked away from me for a bit. I was reading writing on a wall that said something like, "You thought I was dead. I got away. I'm coming back for you." A few seconds later she ran back to me. I looked at her and she said it was nothing. Then we both heard a noise from where she came from. I said we need to get out of here. We start running out. A second late we hear a grown-ass person sprinting towards us. Ran for our lives. Got out. Never saw the person. That's just old Tommy. He made sure the person who wrote that was dead and was not coming back for you. They call him homeless. But the world is his home. My parents had some substance abuse issues and mental health issues while I was growing up. I grew up in this home full of constant emotional turmoil and dysfunction. I remember the exact moment I decided I was leaving as soon as I graduated high school, and that I'd have to get some kind of full-ride scholarship to get out, so that from this point on out I had to get straight A's in school as much as possible. I was 11. I had been through hittier situations with my parents, but this was the breaking point for me for some reason. Can't remember why it's this moment specifically, because like I said, worse things had happened to me. But this is the day I decided I was leaving as soon as possible. My mom and my dad are drunk and fighting as usual. I usually try to ignore it from my room, but it gets louder and louder, and they are letting the dogs in the house. Most of the dogs I had growing up were outside dogs and my mom didn't allow them in the house ever, so it was weird to hear a huge dog with claws running on the wood floors. I sigh and leave my room because of the commotion. Partially intrigued and partially worried. I didn't like when my drunk parents mess around with my pets. I was always very nervous when they were drinking and tried to monitor the situations they'd get themselves into and the weird hit they'd do, because things tended to escalate quickly. I mean, the police had been at my house a few times for domestic violence, or a few other times my parents would injure themselves, or one would leave drunk in a car, etc etc. I always had to act like a parent to them. But specifically it bothered me that they were bringing the pets into their drinking this time. One of the dogs was extremely timid and afraid of people. Hell afraid of everything. Probably because another male dog we had used to beat the hit out of him all the time, and he had scars all over his face. I can't remember what led up to it or why, but my mom was pulling on the timid dog and trying to get him to come out of the corner he was hiding in amidst all the ruckus. He wasn't used to being in the house where my parents were drunk and loud and always had 2 TVs blasting at once. She's trying to pull him out of the corner he's in and he's whimpering. She keeps slurring and calling him a little pussy while she's digging her nails into his fur to force him to come near her, and the other big make dog is growling because the scared dog is getting attention. I'm screaming at her to stop messing with him and leave him alone. And why are you guys bringing the dogs in the house right now? You're drunk and it's time to go to bed, and yada yada yada. My mom tells me something like shut the duck up and go back into your room and keeps ducking with my dog. He's whimpering and crying, and the other dog is growling and barking now, and my dad is just standing back drinking his ear telling me to shut up. And my mom keeps digging her damn nails into his back trying to drag him out of the corner, and he's scared. For some reason I lose my cool with her at this point. Probably because of how cruel I felt she was being to my dog. I go over and try to tear her hands away from him, and she tries to swat me away. Everybody's yelling and the TV is blasting, and the dog's growling, and my mom is stumbling over herself and hurting the dog and trying to stop me from stopping her. I grab her wrist to pull her away from the dog, and she flips a switch and starts gauging and scratching and hitting me. I keep trying to get the dog away from her, and now she's pulling my hair and pinching the hit out of my neck and face. Now I'm fighting back a little by pinching her fat stomach. and she punches me twice in the face while she is pulling my head down to my waist with her hands in my hair. Not super hard, but enough to split open my lip and blood starts dripping on the floor. Ultimately, I also had a black eye from this. I hurl her backward against the wall and she rancidly goes flying. My dad gets pissed off and comes over and starts hitting me. I hit him back and he hits me harder and puts me in my place in a heap on the floor. I'm just laying on the floor with my arms around my face, and now my mom is up again and my dad is holding her back from kicking me. While she's screaming, a million cuss words and words are exchanged and everyone's shouting, and I'm just laying there in silence trying to guard my ribs and my face, and there's hot blood seeping into my shirt sleeve from my face. The big male dog is licking the blood off the floor and licking my exposed ear. This is more physical than it usually gets, and normally my parents are smart enough not to hit me in the face. But this time they weren't. And my lip is split open, and I have a black eye. And I know that I have to lie to everyone when I get to school. Again. It's only happened a handful of times where I've had to lie, but for some reason I decide this is the last time. And that as soon as I can leave, I'm never, ever coming back. I make the promise to myself and I follow through. Left at 18 and never turned back. Other than 4 to 3 month periods in the summer where my stuff was at their place, but I mostly spent my time at boyfriends' places. By the way, fast forward about 10 years later, 2 years ago, at age 23, I was in a relationship where I again sustained a black eye and had to lie. This time at work about how it happened. It was ducking eerie and extremely depressing. I ended up leaving the guy ultimately. But the few people I have admitted to that I've been in an abusive relationship have been like, I don't understand how you stayed with someone abusive for one more minute. Well, when you grow up in a house like I did, it doesn't necessarily occur to you that a situation is ducked up at first. I don't pick up on red flags in my personal life like most people. I'm always making excuses for hitty behavior. Yep. This was pretty cathartic, not going to lie. I should probably talk to a counselor or something about all the hit I've been through, but I tend to try not to think about these things. Because now I know I'm going to be in a funk for a few days from remembering even this tiny tidbit story. Everything always comes flooding back all at once. Ducking sucks when you live alone now like I do. When I was in high school, one of my teachers offered extra credit for seeing an artsy film being shown in Jack London Square. We lived in the suburbs about 30 minutes from Oakland, and my best friend and I saw this as quite the opportunity for an adventure. We were 16, and I had just gotten my license. This would be the furthest and most city type place I had ever driven without my parents in the car. This was before fancy phones and GPS. Every car we owned had a Thomas guide in it. We didn't have a lot of info about parking garages etc. But we found the theater and parallel parked on a side street not too far away, no problem. We see the movie and, after, decide to walk down by the water and smoke. Seizing this golden brief moment of teenage freedom. After smoking on our way back towards my mom's car, we notice a twitchy individual following us. At first we thought we were tripping, but then we made a couple extra turns. Crossed the street erratically a few times and sure as hit, this weirdo is following us. He was out of earshot, so we could at least mumble speak and try to figure out what to do. I asked my girlfriend what we should do. Her idea was to get the keys out and make a run for the car as fast as we can. I decided that was a bad idea and grabbed her elbow and make a sharp turn and drag her into a bar. I swear the music stopped and everyone in the bar stared at us slack-jawed when these two silly teenage girls nervously stumbled in. It was later than happy hour, but luckily it was a nicer bar and there was still some of the after-work crowd there wearing ties. Panicking, I ask the bartender where the bathroom is. My girlfriend and I go to the bathroom, hyperventilate a little, and get up the courage to ask for help. We walk up to the bar and I start to tell the bartender that we are being followed and we are parked around the corner, and before I could even finish my story, a bunch of dudes at the bar jump up and offer to help. We exit the bar first and sure as hit, creepy dude is crouched close to the bar exit waiting for us. What he didn't expect, as soon as he stood up, was to come eyeball to eyeball with a bunch of chivalrous men. They ask us if he's a dude. We confirm. Thank them profusely and hightail it to our car. As we were waking away I could hear a man say, "So you think it's cool to follow young girls?" I bet that creepy guy's night did not end well. I have forever been grateful I didn't listen to my friend and try to sprint to the car. Who knows what confrontation would have gone down if he caught up to us trying to scramble to get in the car. How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man? I love the young people. I do not remember a ton of details about this encounter, but I will try my best. My buddy and I were hanging out at the neighborhood gas station one Friday night and I think we were freshmen in high school, so that would make us about 14 years old. So we were just sitting around when a group of 5 older guys pulled up in a truck. When I say older, I look back and would say they were all maybe 21, 25-ish. Anyway, they come up to us and start chatting with us for no particular reason. They mentioned to us they have a new puppy back at their apartment and asked if we wanted to go with them and play with their new puppy. Looking back now, we should have just noped the duck on out of there right then. But no, we decided to jump in the back of their truck and go to the apartment to see the dog. Their place was about 2 miles from the gas station, but this was long before cell phones, so the total number of people that knew where we were was 0. They actually did have a puppy that was pretty ducking cute, but pretty quickly after we all arrived, they turned on the TV and put some hardcore gay porn on. I really wish I remembered more about the incident, but all I can really remember is feeling strange about watching some gay porn at 14 with my best friend and a bunch of much older men who picked us up at the corner gas station. We pretty much said we had to go and rushed on out of there as fast as we could. We did not really even talk to each other about what just happened until we got back to his house. We then realized that we probably just narrowly escaped getting gay aped at 14 years old. Ducking, like and subscribe.